And then the
Nice.
low hanging fruit with making multiple videos is that I am leveraging that at the next listing appointment. So it's not
Mhm.
like I just want, and that's why I don't care with some of these videos not performing, because the money is in my ability to show the next appointment to say,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Walkthrough, the most underrated marketing podcast in the entire universe. I am your host, Eric Simon, and I am joined here by Lindsay Joe from the District of Columbia
Correct.
and my friend Chris Benjamin from Mount Everest. Welcome back, my friend.
beaming
Welcome
in from the
back.
top of the world. Thank you for having me.
Beaming in from the highest point in the universe. We have an amazing show for you today because we have two extremely talented agent slash content creators. And we're going to go over where we get our ideas and draw inspiration from. A lot of people are always asking, Chris, Lindsay, how do you guys actually come up with this stuff? They scroll your guys' pages and they're like, where is this inspiration coming from? So we're going to cover that. And then we're also going to cover content that converts with some unique strategies, amazing listing videos, and then we have a marketer of the week today that will blow your mind. This is one you don't want to miss. So make sure you stay to the end of this. All right, we're going to kick it off right away with where we drive our content inspiration from. I have a bunch of places I get my from, but I'm curious to hear from our guest, Lindsay Joe. I will start with you.
Yeah.
Where do you get your content from? Are you scrolling ideas? Do you have specific accounts you follow? Where are you getting all these ideas?
Yeah. So I like to scroll with purpose. So I scroll until something makes me stop. And then I think, why did that make me stop? And then I think, how can I put a real estate spin on that piece of content? I think a big mistake that agents make is that we only consume real estate content, and we really have to make sure that we're consuming content outside of the real estate space. So for educational content, I love Julia Broom. For funny content, Amanda McCants, Kyle Toomey, Michelle Vega. And then for online marketing, I love Jenna Kutcher and Amy Porterfield.
Julia Broom is the Instagram strategist, right?
Yeah. Yep.
She is one of the best. I got turned on to her by you
Hmm.
because I think we covered one of her videos on a previous walkthrough. So if you're listening to this, type in Julia Broom right now if you're interested in Instagram strategy. Give her a follow. Of course, Brock 11 Johnson too. Adam Masseri, the Instagram CEO. Those are like the top three, obviously now BAM account, that are giving out constant tips. So I think that's really good advice. If you're in just a real estate echo chamber on Instagram, and you're just getting real estate ideas, you're not going to have any inspiration from people that are creating amazing content outside. Chris, my
I,
friend,
yeah,
yourself, what about you? Because I mean, every single day you have a new video idea, a new hook idea, and people are probably frustrated looking at your profile, saying, "Look, I'm never going to be like this guy. How do you do it?"
I wish that I could cite to like specific pages that I was stealing everything from, but I've gone down the rabbit hole of following a handful of, well, I'm not following them, they're just like in my feed. But what I found is it's like so funny. Youth groups and churches, small business like coffee shops, all these platforms that have really small budgets that are putting out these viral hook videos seem to be like the easiest to apply and rip off. They're never high production value. It's always like encouraging somebody to come to like a youth meeting or to buy a coffee, and they seem like the simplest ideas to apply to our space. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's like Brock Johnson. He wears glasses. His name, it starts with an I. Rocio.
That starts with an R, my friend.
R. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
It's a silent I. No, I don't know. You just said it starts with an I, and then you said Rosier or Rokier or something like that.
It's gonna come to me before the end of this. I really like
Okay.
him. He's kind of like another Brock Johnson, but it
Yeah.
feels like lately I've been down this rabbit hole of like local coffee shops and youth groups who are putting out very low budget, high quality sort of viral hook videos.
Yeah, I like that. I think the point here is if you go to your Instagram, this is what I do for broke agent. I'll just start with that. You go to your Instagram and it's the second to the bottom right where it has the Reels play button. That's like your For You page. That's the explore feed. I click that and I just scroll for content ideas with a purpose, like Lindsay said, for
Right.
maybe 10, 15 minutes. And if I see a meme popping up from an account like Jim Fail Humor or Corporate Bro or Sales Humor, or there's a Lord of the Rings account that I follow that's always just pulling funny Lord of the Rings memes, but they have such great templates. That's what sparks the ideas for me now.
Huh.
But what really does And Chris, you do this in your talks, and I think you talked about this in Bam Mania too, is you get content inspiration from actually doing things. Anytime I'm sitting in my apartment, which is all day, and I have, this ring light beaming in my face, melting my brain, it's impossible to just come up with content ideas. Like Lindsay, I'm sure when you're out and about, like actually on listing appointments, sitting open houses, that stuff sparks, right? That's probably when more ideas come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also think it's easier the more that you're doing it. Don't get me wrong. I think there's like a fatigue that takes place when you're doing it too much. But the more that you are sitting down to scroll with purpose, the more you are out there trying things, seeing how they perform, the easier it feels to get to just try things. I think that's the struggle is you don't want to start something and you're like, is that a good one? Is that a bad one? And if you don't really have the muscle of putting out the content and sort of being resilient to them flopping, you don't put them out.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
if you post a flop, who cares? That this is part of the game. You have to test stuff out. And if something flops, that's a good indication not to post something like that again. But also there's so much noise on social media right now that the flops are sometimes the post that'll resonate with that specific audience more than something that'll actually go viral. I
Right.
don't think it matters. Lindsay, are you deleting posts or anything like that anymore? Or are we all over that at this point?
No, I'm keeping everything, but
Yeah.
I did delete some cringy ones. I'm curious, like, what your most cringy post was that you guys have ever posted. Now that I'm thinking through this, because I remember that one, Eric, that I did where I had the wig on and it was like me in $1 million house, and
Yes.
that was
You
so
deleted
cringy.
that?
I think I did delete it. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like to keep everything up. I mean, I'm posting memes on the Broke Agent account, and on the BAM account, it's all, articles and stats and everything. So there's nothing really cringe to post. But I think if you're an agent and you have stuff that you're kind of embarrassed about at the beginning, I almost like seeing it because it shows the evolution of the content creation. So a lot of agents will say, I just started my Instagram account. Should I delete everything from before? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, is anyone really going to scroll down all the way anyway? No one's going to see you in a wig, Lindsay, and be like, well, I'm not working with her anymore. Maybe they will, actually.
Well,
I don't
you don't know the hinge dates I'm going on. Those motherfuckers are scrolling.
know. Okay. Well, you're using your profile
Like,
for
I need to
different
delete.
purposes. Exactly. If you're using it for dating, then maybe that's something to consider. I think the point with this segment is we get inspiration from other content creators. So
Right.
if you are not spending 10, 15, 20 minutes a day scrolling content with a purpose, with the intention of, is this an audio I could use? Is this a hook that I could use? Is this an idea that I could correlate to real estate? Then you're definitely not doing it right,
Right.
because these ideas don't just come to us. You're not just in the shower with an idea sometimes.
100%. And to add to that, you have to actively save them. You either have to
Yes.
text them to yourself, save them to the archive, email them to whoever is helping you make stuff. But you scroll by them so quickly. If you don't take the moment to like capture it somewhere, you're not going to find it again.
Saving it on Instagram is the move. I just started doing that. I would always screenshot a post and then never look at it again, right? Like, how often are you going through your camera roll? And it would just be like
Yeah.
15 posts down, but it's all about saving it on Instagram, which is a very simple feature. Some other content creators I just recommend for formatting: Alex Hormozy, obviously,
Mhm.
Sharon of Real, and Gary Vee. They're always at the forefront of how people want to consume content. So if you're trying to post something with a quote card or a tweet, or the way they're formatting the reels, you're not just looking for the actual idea. It's all about, how can I format this post differently? How can I post something that I posted 6 months ago, reformat it into how people are consuming content today? So Alex Ramosi, Gary Vee, Neil Dingra, and Sharon Srivatsa are probably the four best in terms of formatting stuff for modern Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc.
And this might have came up at Bam Mania. It's certainly something I think about now is just the way that people consume content. Even myself, like I don't think people are engaging as actively as they used to because they're just doing so many other things. So I don't I don't know what the remedy is, but just because the post doesn't get as many comments or likes, I just think people's actions are not allowing them to stop and hit like anymore. But I'm still convinced that they're watching because I'm thinking of my own behavior. And I'm like, damn, why am I not hitting that like button? I just consumed the whole thing and I'm off to the next one already.
You're
Uh,
100% right. And engagement is down across the board. So if you're watching this, you are not alone. Like the engagement on the Broke Agent account, I was getting 350, 400,000 views per reel. And that's dropped to, just over 100 for kind of the mediocre ones. Same with the BAM account, likes, everything down. And that's happening across the board. If you go to other accounts, I see the same things happening. It's because that exact behavior that you're talking about, Chris, is it's a scroll first platform.
Right.
Like very rarely am I commenting on something unless it's a many chat or there's a reason to do it.
Right. This might be taboo and this might like go off the rails. So you can just tell me to stop, Eric, if this is inappropriate. But
Okay.
like, do you guys know how now you have the ability to hide not just likes, but you can select to hide views, hide shares, hide
Hmm.
saves? You can hide like, I actually don't know if you can hide views, but you can definitely hide likes and you can hide shares.
Hmm.
Do you guys think from a like consumer facing perspective, there is value to hide certain analytics if you know that people are like glancing? I just wonder from a performance perspective, is it better for us to not even share that stuff? Because, like, one, it's like bad for our mental health. But
Yeah.
two, when I think about it from like the consumer perspective, I don't want them to see something that had like 8 likes because I believe it still had a ton of value. I'm still promoting their house, but subconsciously you see something with like 6 likes and you're like, what a fucking waste of time that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay, what do you think? Have you ever hidden likes or anything?
I've hidden a few. Yeah. I
Hmm.
was going to
Yeah.
ask the same question, Chris, before you asked it.
I've definitely hidden it. I think on static posts, sometimes I will frequently hide them on static posts because I know the static posts do worse. Like if
Right.
I have a
Hmm.
picture, unless it's of my wife or my baby, I know a carousel of my listing is gonna flop.
Yeah.
But I think there's still value to putting it on my wall. And
There definitely is. And adding audio on those carousels, I talked about this last week, has helped our post so much. So I'm doing a lot more static images on the BAM account. And anytime I put an audio song that,
it's better.
has some relation to what the post is, that's always made it perform really well, even if it's a carousel. Um, I used to think hiding likes would suck for the person for the consumer because it'd make them less likely to like it. Or if you hide
Mm,
comments or whatever, then they would be less likely to engage with it, and that's just going to hurt your engagement off the bat. But I don't think it matters at this point. I don't think the average consumer is necessarily looking at the engagement rate of the post, right? I don't know. I don't think like they're looking at Chris, the real estate agent, saying, "Oh, this thing only got 25 likes."
right.
So that's why I'm saying I don't think hiding it would
Make a
be a
difference.
problem. And
Okay.
also, I've done it before. Like I collabed with the Broke Agent BAM account, and it was all about BAM mania, and it was my least liked post of all time. And I think I considered hiding, and I was like, this is a sentimental post. People are going to love that. People are going to support it. Of course, they just wanted more memes, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Let us know in the comments what you think about hiding likes. I would lean towards probably not doing it just because it might discourage more people from liking the
Yeah.
post if they see it unliked, right? Like you do want to engage with a post that you see more interaction with.
That's a good point. I
Yeah.
never really
Yeah.
thought about that.
Let us know in the comments what you think. And by the way, if you want inspiration ideas, we have social media templates for you in BAMX. Every Friday, we send you BAMX in a box, 3 social media templates, 2 video scripts, an email script, and a blog. Get in there right now. Use code walkthrough for 10% off. All right, let's get into content that converts. Speaking of inspiration, Chris, we're going to pull up this video from you because this is one of the best visual listing video hooks that I've ever seen. Let me say that again. This is one of the best visual listing video hooks I have ever seen. The clip. All right. So if you're watching on or you're listening on Spotify, hop over to YouTube right now to see this because Chris was basically, the star, right? And everybody
Mhm.
was there with their cameras and their iPads. And then you just put, what was it, the address on a piece of paper?
I just put the first slide was the rumors are true. I wrote it with a Sharpie marker and printer paper. And then the second slide was the address. And I think I might have put the date and the time of the mega open house.
Yeah.
And
And
the
sorry, I was,
inspiration came from a
yeah, go
Chick-fil-A
ahead.
video.
From a Chick-fil-A video. So from Chick-fil-A Instagram or from a commercial?
From a Chick-fil-A Instagram post. I don't remember what city this Chick-fil-A was in, but it was like something that I was just scrolling through, and I'm sure there's a bunch of videos that have ripped off it like identically, and I was like, this is too easy, too simple, and I'm constantly I don't know why my algorithm is feeding me all these other than I'm consuming them now, but it's like all I see is restaurants, Chick-fil-A's, coffee shops, and they're all doing this really low budget stuff, and that's my camera guy holding an iPhone and an iPad, and one of the agents on my team holding 2 iPhones.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say it looked like you had 5 people that
Yeah.
were there for that 10-second video. But what's so brilliant about that is you walk up, so there's movement at the beginning with the hook, and then you have a rumors are true. That's an immediate text hook that you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? And then it's about a mega open house. So I think writing on a piece of paper, holds the retention, holds the attention of an audience. So anytime you could do that, whether I've seen people on a whiteboard where they're kind of pulling out the tape. Brock Johnson has done this on his Instagram where it's like, here's what you should do on Instagram. And he's just pulling off the tape. He's not even saying a word.
right.
And that's just going to keep your attention. It's such a good hook. And then it was just a quick listing video. And then you had one call to action, which was comment the word Sherman or whatever it was for the
Tournament, yeah.
information.
What I was going to say too, and this is from like a shooting strategy, if you're going to use these for your listings, is you got to shoot the whole house vertically on an iPhone or vertically on a camera, because all of that sort of evergreen listing material is what you can use when you want to go shoot another hook somewhere, right? So it's like when you're shooting the listing, capture it from all the angles that you might end up using to chop up for the other content that you're going to make. Because it's not like we shot that video specifically to make this piece. All those shots were for other stuff that we were cooking.
Ah, smart. So you don't necessarily have to do the hook right there.
Oh
You
God,
just,
no,
yeah.
especially because now with listings sitting a little bit longer, and this is the struggle that I'm having. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, Lindsay, but like, how much content do I make for a listing? Because it's either going to sell over the weekend or it's going to sell in a month. So why
Yeah.
do I want to make like a month's worth of stuff if I'm not going to have anything to share because it sold the opening weekend? So we are really trying to overshoot the house so that we have all the material. And then based on how long it's sitting, we'll make more without having to go back to the house.
Yeah. I think it's super, super smart that you do multiple videos for each listing because it makes you look so much busy. Like, I know you're so busy, but it makes you look so
100%.
much busier than you actually are. So I think a lot of times agents think they can only do one post for their listing. But I mean, I think it's genius that you do multiple
And then the
posts.
low hanging fruit with making multiple videos is that I am leveraging that at the next listing appointment. So it's not
Mhm.
like I just want, and that's why I don't care with some of these videos not performing, because the money is in my ability to show the next appointment to say, look at the campaign that I'm bringing you guys. Like, it's okay if it doesn't happen in a week. Like, I'm prepared to market your house for the next 60 days. So I think a big piece of it, and this is something that I'm doing, is I'll just add up all the analytics from each video for a house, and then every week when I give my sellers the update, it's like we had this many views, this many shares, this many whatever. And then I take that to my listing appointment and hopefully helps me, help another family.
Haley, clip it. I
Clip
wasn't
it.
necessarily going to remind her that, but that's a clip right there. Good work, Chris. Fantastic. That will be on the Now Band Instagram in about 12 hours. Fantastic. Or shorter than that, maybe 3 hours right after this episode. Also, what I think is smart, Chris and Lindsay, what could be a good idea is even if you shoot all that content for a listing and say it sells in a week, that would be such a good post to do is, I had all this listing content planned, but this thing already sold in 5 days. So here's what I was going to do with it. Like imagine seeing that as a seller too, where it's like this person was already prepared, but they also sold it in 5 days. That's really sick. I want to work with this person.
100%. I love
So
that.
Yes.
great advice by Chris. And then there's another video here where the editing is just ridiculous.
I know you're still living your life after death. Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the
So
day
bad, Eric.
when you went away. What a life.
Can you keep that up, Haley, but just keep the volume off so we could see the caption and everything? So you were floating in that. How did you even edit that video? I saw some comments saying that must have taken hours for the editing.
It burned the calves for sure. So obviously Diddy is trending right now, and Diddy had been trending for a while. And there was a video that I saw online that a guy was like something about slipping around the house on baby oil. And I'm constantly thinking about how we can make more listing videos that aren't so complicated, because I want to have a library of stuff. So this one, truthfully, was just me shuffling through the house, like micro steps. So it probably took like 10 minutes to walk through that whole house, making little steps. And then we just put it in fast forward. The slower you move in the original video, the better it is when you put it in fast forward. And that's what kind of causes the glide effect.
I love that. So, I mean, it just keeps your attention throughout the entire thing because you just want to see where you're floating next. And was that a Diddy song in the background?
That was a Diddy
That
song in the
was
background.
without him rapping though. So it's kind of covert. That's a covert trend, Jack.
That
Because
is a
the
covert trend jack. And then as far as the trend jack goes, and I was going to say this about like the listings, is if you have a bunch of listings, it becomes exhausting to like shoot a bunch of original content for each one. But these trends are good enough for at least a couple weeks or a month. So if I have 2, 3, 4 houses coming to the market at the same time, you're going to see a lot of similar videos because all of those ideas I'm using for each listing. And then the next month, like I'll have a different batch of ideas. So you're going to see that same shuffling video for another house that I'm selling in Woodland Hills. And I think it's a good enough idea. It's like, how do I get off the hamster wheel? Not everybody sees it every time you post anyways. So
yeah, I love
hopefully
that.
that's
And
helpful.
also the music on your videos, everyone go to Chris Benjamin's page right now and scroll his content because the music, the audio that you put on all of your videos perfectly captures whatever you're seeing in the content. So how are you choosing those songs? Obviously that one was a Diddy reference, so you chose a Diddy song, but like you had Lady Gaga in the background of the other one and
He,
it just worked with it. Is that you or is that your video guy?
so twofold, like one, it's like songs that we're constantly saving and sending to each other, and the other thing is if I'm ripping off the trend from somebody else and they've picked a great song, like I'm using the song. So I wish I
Yeah.
could say that was the Diddy song I selected, but I saw the original one and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good, let's do that again.
That's what like makes or breaks a post. I do this all the time on the BAM account now. For example, there was something on first time home buyers, how the amount of first time home buyers this year dropped from 34% to 20 or 32% to 24%, which is a pretty dramatic drop. But then the audio we put behind it is don't stop believing. So it's like encouraging and it just adds an extra touch to whatever piece of content you're posting. So don't just throw up a random song with it or don't put a song if there's nothing to add to it, but always do it if it could kind of boost your content.
100%.
All right, great work, Chris. That is content that converts right there. All right, so Lindsay, this is an Instagram story where you actually pranked a buyer.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, okay, so what's the update?
So you got it.
What? No, you're kidding.
You got it.
Really?
Yes, you got it. It's yours.
No, you're kidding.
It's yours. It's yours. Are you so happy? I just want to cry for
Yes.
you.
Oh my god, I can almost not believe it.
We did it. Aren't you so
Oh my
glad we
God.
didn't settle for Van Dorn?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for this clip, I really wanted to show the emotion and the happiness of my client going under contract. This clip was super easy for me to create. It took me like 5 minutes to film and edit. I recorded it from my laptop and then added it into CapCut, trimmed it a little, threw in some captions, and then added in some piano music. This was so much better, in my opinion, than a static under contract graphic post. Those graphics, in my opinion, really tend to kind of only bring attention to us as the real estate agent and our accomplishments instead of putting the focus on our actual clients. I also wanted to incorporate a funny element of like pranking my buyer. So the language that I used at the top was might go to hell for this one. And that immediately grabs your attention and you want to know what I did that was so bad for me to be saying that I'd be going to hell. So when you're creating these posts, think about the language that would make you stop if you were scrolling and then try to emulate that. So I think the big takeaways from this clip are one, how easy it was for me to create, to make sure that you're using that language that makes you stop. And then three, we want to be creating content that always has that storytelling aspects. And we really want to make people feel things. We want to bring out that emotion out of people. And I've said this a million times, but the agents who tell stories this year, in my opinion, are always going to be the agents who win.
I mean, I don't even have much to add to that. You just nailed every single point that I was about to make. So that was great. That's a clip right there, Haley. That was a brilliant video. I like how it's just Instagram stories too. So you're just getting DMs from that, and you're just kind of showing the background of the calls that we make as agents, and showing the positive calls. Like I remember Naples Natalie, we did a dissection on one of her posts where she was a paparazzi for her closing clients or for her buyers. So she was just sitting in the kitchen and then took surprise photos of them and it was their first time walking in the house, their dog and everything. You could see the emotions, and hearing the happiness in that person's voice is kind of the reason we do this, or the reason I did not do this, but the reason you guys do this is for something like that. And that's just like you said, so much better than posting a just closed or, in escrow post. Is look how happy my buyer is. Do you want that experience too? Look what I just did.
Yeah.
So great job, Lindsay. Thoughts on that, Chris?
I was just going to add, it's the whole Sharon proof over promise, the whole organic, not too manicured, really behind the scenes. I love that you're in your bedroom. It's just real. It's authentic. And I think it's what we need on our walls when everything else is so like prim and proper,
Yeah, I agree. The bedroom setting does
Mhm.
just make that more organic, because if you're in an office, you just feel like, oh, it's a real estate agent. I don't even want to watch this. But in the bedroom and
Yeah.
that text hook, great video.
And this is all subconscious, but I'm thinking to myself, like, this is the end of her day. This is late night. Like, she's working off the clock. There is no clock. She's just
Yeah.
working. She got this good news and she's delivering it then. And I think, yeah, I want to call you.
That and I think it shows too that I care about the buyer. And I think a lot of times real estate agents, we get a bad reputation because people think we're salesy. People think we just want to sell everything to anyone. And you could tell that I was like, I just want to cry for you. I'm so happy for you. So I think it added that emotional element in there as well too.
Viciously evil prank though for the first 5
I
seconds.
know, I felt so bad, but I had
That,
to.
that's when you have to say it's a prank within seconds. Otherwise, you could already feel the bad emotions, because there's nothing more devastating than telling. That's why I hated doing real estate. Honestly, is making calls and telling people they didn't get the house. That was it's horrible.
It's awful.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little reminder to make some content that is actually the calls that you're making. And if you want another reminder, you're an agent looking to stand out from the crowd, Reminder Media is a resource you have to check out. You get your own branded print and digital magazines, email newsletters, and social media content. Reminder Media delivers these resources to your contacts on autopilot, keeping you top of mind with your database. All you got to do is focus on your follow-up calls and watch referrals and repeat business come in. Use the link below to try out Reminder Media. Luke Akery, president of Reminder Media, is so good at posting the proof over promise. Every single day in his stories, he's posting reviews. It's this client did this client said this about their magazines. And I think that's always really effective. This whole proof over promise thing, Chris, who's the originator of this? Is this Sharon? Is it Jimmy Mackin? Is it Gary? Who is the guy?
I don't
Who's
know
the
who
girl
came
that
up
did
with
this?
the line. I think
I switched that
subconsciously
up.
we've all known that proof over promise is what we should be doing. Like, we subconsciously knew that's the way. I'm not sure who we give credit for the wonderful words.
I'm going to start taking credit for it, I think. I am now the proof over promise king. It's not Sharon. It's not Neil Dingra. It's not Gary Vee. It's not Alex Hermosi. And it's not Jimmy Mackin. It is me. I am Mr. Proof Over Promise officially. They are all getting this from me.
I love it.
That is a declaration right there. Even though I'm pretty sure I got it from them.
That should be the clip, though, is how could you take everything that you're doing and before you shoot it, like, how do I show them instead of tell them about it? And I think
Exactly.
there are just so many little, synapses we could switch in our brain to just, frame things differently.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly. So I spoke at the Real conference in last month. Lindsay was there. Lindsay, you won an award. What did you win an award for?
Best agent announcement video of 2024.
You better win the award for that. That's
I was ready in your
fantastic.
competition.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I was at that event and they asked, what should real agents or what should agents be posting in their stories, to
Yeah.
not like for agent attraction, basically how to do attraction without making it, in
Gross.
your face.
Right.
And by the way, I am not with Real. I'm just, was at this conference. And I thought one of the best things is proof over promise, in the sense that you show a text conversation with maybe that did join your team that says, like, this has been the best decision I've ever made. Same thing with agents showing their clients and showing screenshots of a text conversation or their happiness, or them saying, like, this has been the easiest transaction ever. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Like, that sort of stuff is what hooks people. And reviews is everything. If you're buying a product, you're working with an agent. It's all about reviews. All right, now we're about to review something crazy here. This is the marketer of the week. And this is one of the best storytelling reels I have seen from a real estate agent.
A client once asked me to list her home. During my initial visit, she specifically warned me against entering her walk-in closet, saying she was embarrassed by the mess. Curious but respectful, I avoided the closet and we proceeded to list the house. 2 weeks later, I hosted an open house. A couple arrived, clearly interested in the property, especially enamored by the kitchen and master bath. When they reached the master bedroom, they noticed the closet blocked by a wall of boxes. Explaining the owner's previous remarks about the closet's condition, I tried to dissuade them from exploring further. However, the husband was determined to see every part of the house that he might purchase. He opened the closet door to reveal a meticulously organized display case of dildos. Each was neatly placed on a custom shelf behind glass doors, all meticulously numbered. A large sheet on the door matched each number with a name. In addition to this astonishing collection, we found 2 large boxes filled with 36 unopened Clone-A-Willy dildo making kits. The couple and I were initially stunned by the vast and unique collection, and the husband could not contain his laughter, immediately chuckling for a good 20 minutes. Despite the unconventional discovery, the couple's interest in the home remained undeterred. They eventually purchased the house, and for the remainder of the open house, I no longer allowed anyone into that closet. Curiosity got the best of me later, and I counted a total of 183 homemade dildos, along with some store-bought ones filled into the movable closet. That's real estate.
This video went viral, obviously. And I'm a little confused by this because she's, first off, like the way she's framing the video is great because it's just a voiceover and she's packing. Anytime you have movement in the video, like we said, B-roll, whether you're writing something, typing something, packing, cooking something, putting on makeup, that's great for retention of the video. And then she's telling a story about an agent that isn't her, apparently. So I looked in the comments because people were like, you know, if the client told you not to open this closet, then why did this happen? And she responded saying this is actually a story from Reddit that she's reading, which I think is
Brilliant.
a brilliant strategy because if you go on Reddit, and we did this for Halloween stories, Halloween horror stories, and you type in real estate horror stories or real estate agent, there are so many crazy stories on there. And there's another account named Corporate Bro that does something similar where he just does voiceovers to crazy sales calls, even if it didn't happen to him. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this video? Lindsay, I'll start with you.
I thought it was perfect. It also just goes to show that like the best pieces of content don't need to be filmed professionally.
Yeah.
Love the B-roll that she used of her doing laundry. Loved the storytelling aspect. Grabbed my attention immediately. I thought it was a 10 out of 10, and it's everything that you tell agents to do, Eric. So I feel like it was
Yeah,
great.
I always tell agents to tell stories about 136 dildos that are perfectly memorized or perfectly organized. I like how she used the word meticulous like 3 times, like they're, you know, within a centimeter apart, all stacked up from smaller to bigger, I would imagine. I don't know. Chris, your thoughts on this? Is this something that you're going to do?
You know, it certainly is inspiring. I love that what she's doing has nothing to do with what she's talking about. Like, how
Yeah.
do you
Yeah,
how do you
that's
share
true.
something when you don't want to make video? Like, I thought that was brilliant. The other thing that I was going to say, and I don't know this woman, I can't imagine she wrote that like in 2 minutes. Like that was a great voiceover. So she might
Yeah.
not be spending the time or money on like video, but she's definitely putting in effort to craft a good story. And I think that's like really important is like you have to put in the time somewhere. Like you got to put in the effort somewhere.
So here's where my confusion. So the account is Best Louisville Agent. I messaged her, by the way, and said this is a great video. So shout out to her. Her caption says, dive into the heart of hilarious real estate with a quirky surprise that turned a standard open house into a memorable adventure. And then the next line, nestled in a cozy neighborhood, this house not only boasts stunning kitchen and luxurious master bath and hides a whimsical secret in its walk-in closet. Curious? You've got to see it to believe it. Okay, so it's still about, I thought she was promoting one of her listings in this video too. I was like, this is insane. And then also she collabed with Clone-A-Willy Kit.
That's where
Which
the real
is
W is. They're making. I looked it up after I watched it. It's and look at the reach as a result. They make they clone body parts, so I think you can make vaginas, dick. Like
What?
that's the thing about the dildos is they're not like random dildos. It's like 136 dildos based on the
cloned.
seller or somebody's penis.
Oh my
What? You're
Okay, so
lying to me.
no, that makes complete sense. I mean, Clone-A-Willy, that, you know, the name, that's 100% what it is. But I'm just wondering, because she collabed with his account, is this an ad for the account? There's so many unopened questions about this. Is this an ad for the account? Is this an ad for one of her listings? Is this a story that she read on Reddit? Did this actually happen to her? I don't know what the hell is going on with this video. Regardless, if you're listening to this and wondering why the hell are we talking about it, it's a great It's a great reel, right? It captures your attention. Again, it's the voiceover, it's the B-roll, it's the story. She doesn't even get to what it is until 30 seconds in. So how about you go on Reddit, you look up some stories, maybe you read some stories. I would say to use a disclaimer to let people know that this didn't happen to you, do, and she did in the comments. But
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. There you go,
There you
folks.
go.
That's
Hey, I have a question. Chris,
yeah.
what's the craziest thing you've ever seen at a showing? Anything wild?
I've definitely it was like not the wildest, but I've definitely shown houses in South LA that have had
Mhm.
homeless people like passed out or doing drugs
Mhm.
inside. Like I've definitely stumbled upon somebody passed out in the living room that I was like, God, maybe I should step out before they wake up.
Yeah, it's
Um,
scary.
I thought a house was empty. This was one of my best. I thought a house was empty. I went in with the family. I'm opening all the doors. I opened the bathroom door, and the seller is on the toilet, um, underwear around his ankles, just
Oh
like
no.
it was pretty good.
Just full blown bowel movement. What about you, Lindsay?
I walked in on some people having sex once, like
The
Tuesday,
sellers?
1 o'clock. They were tenants,
Mm,
and they weren't answering the front door. There was no lockbox. It was just like they had to let us in. So we went around the back, walked up the deck, and the back door was open, and walked in on them getting a little freaky.
yikes.
Yeah.
Anytime I ask this question on Broke Agent or BAM Instagram, like real estate horror stories, all of them involve like people going to the
Dildos?
bathroom.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
or sex stuff, or like the worst thing you could possibly think of. That is what people experience, and that is what you experience when you're going in people's homes. Is
Right.
Yeah.
that's what people are doing. I guess everyone's just always happens to be having sex at 2 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon when people are going in.
Yeah.
Doesn't make much sense.
I have a question for you, BA and Lindsay,
Yeah.
before if we want, because now it's like these are, I think these are relevant to the audience.
Yes.
If the whole goal of us making content is to like educate, inform, also gain reach, do you guys think that like Instagram, for example, do you think that there could be a lot more value to us just making whatever it is that we wanted that might not be real estate centric for the purpose of like getting attention and then dripping in real estate stuff? Because it just feels like the more real estate stuff we put out that's exclusively real estate, we gain this like agent audience, which is obviously wonderful. But at the same time, when I think about like somebody wanting to follow me, unless they really like fuck with me personally, why would you want to follow my account just making like silly listing videos?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the whole kind of hyper local strategy too. If you enjoy making that content,
Right.
like we mentioned Alyssa Kernot probably every
So
episode, and it's actually getting crazy. I need to stop doing it because people are texting me saying you got to stop mentioning this girl. I have to basically unfriend her because of this. But I actually invited her on this episode today too. So Alyssa, if you're watching, we're talking about you again. But she seems really excited about everything that's going on in Spokane, right? Like
Yeah.
if that's you, then great. Like maybe if I was an agent and I really loved the Yankees or the Trojans, and this was such a big part of my life, Neil Dinger talked about this in Bam Mania, like
yeah,
talking about your interests is obviously going to attract other people. So I think that should be a strategy for people.
Yeah.
But you got to test it, see if it works. If you only start posting golf content, then
right.
and you kind of just pepper in real estate every now and then your account becomes a little less
Yeah.
professional. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you have to create the content that you're passionate about, because if you're not passionate about it, then it feels like a job, and we already have a job, and that job is selling real estate. So I think like you said, Eric, Alyssa seems to really love making that hyper local content. You can tell from the videos. It doesn't feel forced at all. I think sometimes you see content from agents and you can just tell that it's forced. You can tell that they're not passionate
Right.
about it. So I think you have to have some sort of passion behind it.
That that's a much better answer than what I just said. That's what I was trying to say basically. Exactly that is if you love sports and you're talking about sports, people are going to see that passion and see that you're knowledgeable about that subject and be attracted to you based off of that. If they see forced hyper local content, like not everybody could be Alyssa, be like, here are the top 3 coffee shops I love in Los Angeles. And like imagine me walking around doing that video. I would look like an absolute idiot. And
A
people would know
jabroni. Yeah.
I look like a jabroni. People would know that I'm just doing it because I think that I should be doing it. And you
Right.
could totally tell when people are just like, I see people doing green screens because we talk about green screens and I still encourage everybody to do these, but I see some that feel forced because
Right.
people are like, I have to do this now. And you could see them reading it. And it's like, people aren't going to relate to that or watch the video.
Right.
What were you going to say, Chris?
I just think it's important, it's like we're at the beginning of November, it's November 7th. I think, we're here with a bunch of people that are like high performers on the internet. And like personally, I'm really trying to audit everything. I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
trying to burn it all down, but I think at the end of the year, this is one of those times where it's like, what's working, what's not working. All of this is so much effort. It's just really important to be, same way you approach your business plan. What's the content plan 2025? Because it's just too much money, time, energy, emotion to spin our wheels.
People connect with the agent and the brand that do the personal stuff, though. Like you said, when you post your family, Chris, you're getting more engagement. Lindsay, you're posting way more personal stuff on your page now. I'm sure like you're attracting a tribe of people that relate with everything that is happening in your life. I just went to the World Series and I posted my wife and I in the stand. Like I've never even posted her because I've just kept everything so real estate based. It was never purposeful. It was just like, do people ever even want to see this? And then after Neil's talk at Bandmania, I was like, well, maybe people will buy into the brand more if they know I'm obsessed with baseball, a Yankees fan. This is my wife, everything about me. We'll see. I don't know. No one interact with that story though. I think Chris, I got a few hearts from Chris and you maybe. Chris is like one of the first people to view the story and like the story.
That was really sweet, man. You never share your wife. I was like,
know.
oh my gosh, am I on the right account? Like, did he publish this here?
I share on the personal. For people at home, it's not a reason I don't do it. I love her and would love to share all the time. It's just I don't. I'm cognizant of the fact that people want to go to my account and just kind of laugh at real estate jokes.
Right.
But I'm trying this out, so we'll see.
Yeah, I say keep going with it because I feel like when you do post personal stuff, people follow you and they really root for you. And if you bring them along on the journey, you create this like really awesome tribe of people that just like love you so much because you're open.
Like Derek Gregory, for example, he's a huge LA Rams fan, and every Sunday, he's posting about the Rams, and it's fun to go to his account and see that because he's going to have a post about it, and he has heart attacks and he's scared and he posts memes about it, and it's just something about him that I talk to him about the Rams now. So it's just let us know in the comments.
You need to encourage him. I think like a lot of us, some of this stuff that's really good on the story should be make
so
the wall. And I think about that stuff. Sometimes I'm putting stuff. I was like, this should just be like, why doesn't it live on the wall?
I know the story content sometimes is better than the wall because it's the more organic stuff that people are relating to. So that's always a test too. Just like you said, auditing your content. If you have a story that gets 30 DMs and gets a ton of responses, like Lindsay, that story that you posted today, or the prank story, that could easily be a feed post now.
Right.
What
I do too is if I'm unsure if I want to put something on my feed, I'll put it on my close friends and then I'll do a poll and just say, hey, do you guys think that this should be on my feed?
So smart.
Yeah. Your close friends list is another little hack that we could go into on a different episode. But hey, that was a fun episode. That was a conversational back and forth, lots of value. If you got this far, let us know in the comments if I should post my wife. No, let us know in the comments what you're thinking. I don't know. Let us know in the comments where you get your content inspiration from. Throw this video a like. Let's get this to 83 likes. If this gets to 83 likes exactly, I will fly out to DC with Lindsay and we will do an announcement video. I will join Reel and we will do a joint announcement video if this gets 83 likes. Just kidding. I will not do that. Thank you, everybody. Go follow Lindsay Joe. Go follow Chris Benjamin. That's the walkthrough. We'll see you next week.